Alright, I already saw part of this video and I knew I had to react to it.
54 seconds ago.
Is there a timeline to get Hamas to disarm?
It's not a hard timeline, but it's a line in my own mind. And at a certain point, if they
So he's just going to make it up.
do what they're
He is indeed just going to make it up.
supposed to do, then we'll have to do it for them.
These guys just cannot fucking stop blowing each other up.
No, they can't, and that's because Hamas isn't a unified whole. Hamas has been blown up to hell, and there are different factions, and there's incredible hate for Israel in Gaza, and you have a fractured society. They're crazy people, and they don't care if Israel strikes back and kill more Palestinians. They just want to kill Israelis because they're consumed with hate. And under that situation, when you don't have a unified Hamas authority to stop the violence, it's going to continue to be messy.
Israel conducting an airstrike in Gaza overnight, saying that Hamas terrorists attacked Israeli troops on the ground there.
Even if it's a random wacko who picks up a gun and just goes out and shoots IDF just on his own, that, according to Israel, they treat it as a Hamas attack and it gives them justification to bomb Gaza. That's why the ceasefire is so fragile, because given how war-torn Gaza is, there will always be crazies consumed with hate that'll try to attack Israel. Hamas can't stop that, even if they wanted to.
Fox News alert, Israel conducting an airstrike in Gaza overnight, saying that Hamas terrorists attacked Israeli troops on the ground there.
Israel is calling it a bold violation of the new ceasefire, putting the whole region on edge.
Trey Yingst is live in Tel Aviv.
Again, Israel is treating Hamas like it can control all 2 million people in Gaza. Those people have good reason to hate Israel, given their home has been leveled by the country. It's crazy.
With the very latest. Good morning, Trey. This is not good news.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. It's not good news. The Israeli military is currently striking the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, this is this is the ceasefire. They're blowing each other up.
Yes, it's the ceasefire.
Hamas violated the ceasefire agreement. I spoke with...
They say Hamas, but someone in Gaza fired on Israel. And it's a good chance that person was a member of Hamas. But whether Hamas as a whole condoned that action, I mean, Hamas doesn't control Gaza completely. It's fractured by war.
One military official who said 2 separate attacks took place inside Israeli-controlled territory. One of them an RPG attack and the other a sniper attack conducted by Hamas.
Just assumed it's Hamas. It could just be a Palestinian whose family was killed by the IDF. It's just automatic assumption. Anyone from Gaza who attacks the IDF is Hamas.
The strikes this morning have taken place in the southern Gazan city of Rafah, but there is at least one report of a strike in the northern part of the enclave. This was a difficult moment for Israeli forces, having to make a decision about whether or not to start striking Gaza again. We also understand...
Difficult? I watched part of this video and Asmongold had the same reaction as I do. Difficult? No. Israel's first response to anything is to bomb them. They've bombed nearly every country surrounding them. They bombed Qatar, even, that is a U.S. ally and has a U.S. base. They just bomb. It's their first instinct. So two small attacks out of Gaza, they're going to bomb Gaza. It's automatic.
At this moment, that there are warnings from the U.S. State Department against Hamas.
I've been saying this all along. Hamas not going to give up their power. There are a lot of people in the Israeli military, the IDF, and also in Hamas.
The only way to stop the attacks on the IDF is for there to be a powerful authority in Gaza that actually has the ability to stop most of the attacks from its own people. Right now, after this campaign by Israel into Gaza, there is not cohesion. The proof is all the inter-Palestinian killing. It's not a unified whole.
That their entire, and I think this is more so for Hamas because, like, they have to leave Palestine after Gaza after this is over, right? That's part of the agreement. So,
and how is that going to work? Because the government was Hamas, so every administrative position was Hamas member. You have a large number of non-combatant Hamas. Are they going to leave too? It's going to be complicated.
They don't want to give up what they have. I think that's it. And this is probably on both sides too.
They don't want to leave their homeland, yeah. But that's what's necessary for peace.
To an extent, a lot of these people like fighting the war. They like being in the war. They don't.
It's not necessarily they like fighting. If Israel doesn't exist, these people, a lot of them wouldn't choose to fight. So it's hatred. And the target of their hatred being right there that makes them like fighting.
Want it to be over because it being over means their position and their their power.
That said, there's another group of hardcore terrorists that have made it their entire life to fight, and they don't know anything other than to fight. And yes, that group, no matter where they go, they're going to be involved in illegal activities, and you wouldn't want to be the country that receives them. Every time there's been agreements like this between Palestinians and Israel, where fighters leave for a third country, that third country has had problem with terrorists afterwards from those Palestinians, because that's what their entire life is
gone. That's it. It's their whole life. Yeah, this is their life. Like you got people like listening to you. You're making decisions. You're making money, etc. No, I don't. Yeah, they absolutely do. Yeah, 100%. War makes them money too. Well, it's more than that. It's like I think that for a lot of them, this is what, and this is. I'm not making this up. This is a recognized phenomenon. This happened after the Crusades. Fuck. I mean, like, it's not anything that's new at all. It happens after a lot of wars where you have soldiers that want to continue fighting because they've become so accustomed to it. And that's it. It's their life's work. Exactly.
Yeah, there is definitely a big contingent of Hamas that is like that.
Yeah. War gives them purpose. Yeah. And this is a position of power, and
they have no other skills.
Identity and everything. Yeah. Does it have a name? Well, they rename it all the time, but I mean, it's just, it depends on what you want to look at. What about Kid Crusades? That made no sense. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I mean, are you denying this obvious reality that I'm talking about that's been manifesting for thousands of years? Are we really going to talk about, is this the one time that it's not happening? Like, what are we doing here? It's obvious this is happening.
Overnight, a statement was released by the U.S. State Department saying, quote, the United States has informed the guarantor nations of the Gaza peace agreement of credible reports indicating an imminent ceasefire violation by Hamas against the people of Gaza. And so we're looking at two separate things here.
Yeah.
One, an attack by Hamas overnight on Israeli forces within the Gaza Strip. And two, a warning from the U.S. State Department that Hamas is planning to target Palestinian civilians or the forces that are currently opposing their rule inside Gaza.
Why would they do that? Well, I guess it's obvious why they would do that.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious why they'd strike the forces that are opposing their rule, as when he started talking without thinking.
All of this comes as Hamas released the bodies of two additional hostages overnight.
Rest of the hostages, their bodies are probably buried in the rubble, and it's going to take a while to get them back.
I can understand why people don't like Israel, and I think it's very fair to like be critical.
You can understand, but you're not understanding completely. There's a lot you don't know.
One negative about Israel, but what I don't understand is why that same animosity isn't seemingly leveraged at Hamas.
Oh, I think Hamas is terrible. That's one reason I dislike Netanyahu and his government, because they are largely responsible for creating this terrorist organization and empowering it. Again, just read through the wiki page on Israeli support for Hamas. Hamas would not exist without Israeli support.
Like, it seems like all of the animosity and hostility is towards Israel and not Hamas. Like,
it's because Israel is the one killing the largest number of civilians at the current time.
They're both fucked up? Yeah, exactly. Like, I find that to be very problematic.
And hating the power that's killing far more innocent civilians is the logical thing to do.
Do know the name of one of those hostages from a kibbutz in the southern part of Israel. His name is Ronen Engel, and Israeli authorities released his name overnight after informing his family. This means that there are still 16 bodies belonging to hostages inside Gaza. Those bodies are supposed to be released by Hamas as part of this agreement, and they've been trickling out so far since the agreement went in.
Because they're slowly digging them out of the rubble.
Into place.
But again, it's about punching down. People are addicted to punching themselves in the balls. Yeah, I mean, it's just like they think Israel equals white people, Hamas and Palestine are white, brown people. That's leftist logic. Yeah.
That is not, at least my logic at all, and a lot of people on the right who don't support Israel. It's because we know that Netanyahu, here, just look at this article. Netanyahu sent Mossad head general to Qatar, begged it to pay Hamas in 2020 when Qatar was thinking of not paying Hamas anymore. That's the type of story I am aware of. I know that Hamas would not exist in its current form without rock solid support from Netanyahu's government. Here's another one. Buying quiet inside the Israeli plan that propped up Hamas. It's the idea that by propping up Hamas, there is not a party to negotiate for Palestinian statehood. It's a way to kill the two-state solution. That's why Minister Benjamin Netanyahu supported Hamas for decades. And that's what I dislike. I view Hamas as just a monster of Netanyahu's own creation. So everything that Hamas does, that's indirectly Netanyahu's fault. And everything that Netanyahu's government does, killing Palestinians, is also Israel's fault. So most of it's going landing on Israel's fault. That's why I dislike Israel more than Hamas.
It's very confusing to me about this. It's about how much people died. Naturally, people think higher kill count side is worse. It's not nuanced. Yeah, but I mean, like, you can easily see that Hamas is bad too. I mean, I don't understand. I think that a lot of people just have a certain level of naivete whenever they're dealing with groups like this. Like, a lot of these people do want...
Yes, okay, this is why I had to react to this video. Asmongold talking about naivete when he isn't even aware of Netanyahu's role in creating and propping up Hamas. That's naivety, Asmongold. That's true naivety. And it's a little bit annoying that someone uninformed is calling out other people as naive. It's irritating. Just irritating.
That, like, a lot of these, like, crazy insurgency militaristic groups want this stuff to continue because it's their entire life. This is their entire life they do this.
On that same front, you have people in Israel, government officials whose entire life is dedicated to the idea of Greater Israel. It's the reason why the Israeli army is organizing hiking tours for Jewish settlers in occupied Syria. And even if the ceasefire holds in Gaza, this isn't ending because you're going to soon have Jewish settlements in Syria. And everything that's happening in Palestine, you're going to have the same thing in Syria for decades. Isn't that fun? That's the joy of Israel.
Information that we have right now, Israeli forces are indeed striking the Gaza Strip. The military confirms to Fox News after they say Hamas violated the ceasefire agreement. Guys?
Trey, really quick. So when Hamas violated that agreement and those rockets were shot over to Israel, were there civilians there? And then on the Israeli side, in their retaliation, are there civilians involved in that as well?
So we understand that Hamas violated the agreement by firing across the yellow line. This is the line that divides the Gaza Strip, where Israeli forces are currently in control and where Hamas is still in control. And according to this military official that I talked to, there were two separate attacks. One was an RPG attack and the other was a sniper attack targeting Israeli forces within Gaza.
Again, it might have been Hamas fighters, but there's no evidence that this was sanctioned by the Hamas organization.
The Israelis still control about...
That's the horrible situation that Hamas finds itself in. Is any crazy person that's hate-filled that goes out and does something, they get blamed for it.
53% of the Gaza Strip as part of phase one of this agreement. If the ceasefire moves forward, they will pull back. But this yellow line will continue to be something that we...
And I think that's why Netanyahu is going along with this, is because he knows that fact. He knows that the attacks from Hamas are never going to stop. That's why he funded Hamas, to give him this excuse to try to seize as much of Gaza as he could. This constant attack is just what he wants.
Talk about. Over the weekend, a Palestinian family was killed after an Israeli tank fired on their vehicle. Now, the Israelis say that vehicle crossed the yellow line in violation of the ceasefire, and after warning shots were fired, they targeted the vehicle. And so this yellow line...
Yeah.
For context on this, Netanyahu fumes after IDF soldiers confirm lethal weapons routinely used on crowds at Gaza aid sites. Not everyone in the IDF is bad, because, again, there's been whistleblowers calling this out, so there's good people in the IDF. But there's also people within the IDF that are just as fucked up as anyone in Hamas, and are just looking for any excuse to kill Palestinians that they can find. So keep that in mind with his car. There probably was no warning shots. There was nothing done. A car made a wrong turn, and the tank, yay, boom, they killed him.
It's just awful. Do you think Hamas should be eradicated? I think that if it comes to that,
The problem with should Hamas be eradicated is during this war, tons of Palestinians have become affiliated with Hamas. Anyone who's male and has had their family members killed is going to be interested in applying for Hamas and fighting against Israel.
yeah, I do think so. Hamas is a terrorist organization that...
Yes, but thanks to Netanyahu, who put Hamas in charge of Gaza, it's basically the de facto government. And anyone who wants to fight back Israel had to join Hamas, even if they didn't support its terrorist attack. After Israel started invading Gaza, it didn't matter if you support the October 7th. Maybe you were completely against October 7th, but once a country invades your land, you rally against it, and you might join Hamas despite not supporting its more horrible actions.
Martyrs their own people and is oppressive.
Yes, there are crazy people in Hamas, but you can't. Not everyone is.
Oppressive terrorist organization. They kill their own people.
Yes, but there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in Hamas. Not all of them are monsters. A good portion, thanks to this war and everything, but not all of them.
At the same time, I also don't want to get involved.
A good way to put it is Hamas is half a terrorist organization, half a government that's representing as best it can the will of the people in this war situation. And the terrorist half we want to wipe out. The other half we want to salvage.
So, like, basically, it's like, if you ask me, like, could you live, if you press a button and, like, you didn't have any Hamas, would I press the button? Like, yeah, of course I would, right?
Let me ask you, Asmongold, a 13-year-old kid whose family is killed by Israel, who's filled with anger and joins Hamas and is brains with Hamas and has been Hamas 1 or 2 months. Do they deserve to be killed? Would you press a button and kill them? Tell me, Asmongold. You don't understand. At the beginning of this conflict, at October 7th, there maybe pushing the button might make more sense, but after Israel invaded Gaza, a lot of normal people have joined Hamas just to fight Israel. I would not press the button and wipe out those. The lifelong terrorists, yes. The patriots that join after Israel invades, no.
But would I want to pay billions of dollars of taxes in this? Like, maybe not. Like, it's fundamentally not an America problem, right? It's just not. It's not an America problem. Doesn't Israel do the same? People aren't asking me about Israel. Like, if every single time that people bring up criticisms of Hamas, that people keep bringing up Israel, that's not really a very good argument. It's just not. Like, yeah, obviously Hamas is problematic. I mean, like, it's not that complicated at all. Like, it's not.
It is complicated, like I just said, because there's a huge part of Hamas that you don't want to just kill and destroy. Again, an average male who, after Israel invades, joins and just to try to fight and protect his people, that I don't see anything wrong with. If they're not going after innocent civilians and they just join to fight the IDF and protect their homeland, Anyone has the right to do that. And I do not regard those as evil. The ones that are lifelong Hamas that have been involved in October 7th, the terrorist side of Hamas, yes, that deserves to be wiped out. And that's why it's not simple Asmongold.
And so anyway, my point is that, yeah, of course Hamas is bad. I mean, the best case scenario, in my opinion, is that they give them some way to just leave, go live somewhere else, and there's no war.
And who's leaving exactly? Everyone involved in October 7th, yes, of course, the terrorists, but just people that fought against Israel? People that took up arms and tried to defend their people? Are they going to be sent out of Palestine?
It might not be fair because obviously a lot of these guys deserve probably to go on trial or be killed or something like that. But
yeah, he's thinking that every Hamas member is a terrorist. He talked about naive earlier. And yet he thinks every member of Hamas is a terrorist. Don't get me wrong.
I think it's the clean.
Don't get me wrong. A huge portion of Hamas is terrorists, but there's probably an equally big portion that isn't terrorists, that are fighters, that are just soldiers that joined to try to fight off Israel, that is invading Gaza.
Cleanest and easiest thing that spares the most lives, right? So like if I had the capability to make a decision, that's what I would do, right? Is I would just say like, okay, walk away, leave, live your life the way you want, but you can't stay here. How do you think Hamas came to life? I mean, the same.
Exactly. Here, this is why I absolutely had to cover this video. Someone in Asmon Chat tries to educate him on how Hamas came into being, on Netanyahu's role in creating, funding, propping up, empowering Hamas. It doesn't go well for that person, unfortunately.
Every other terrorist organization comes to life. I mean, there's like 50 different ways. I agree with you about Middle East involvement with Israel, but you don't live in a bubble of actions in Middle East oil. Yeah, sure. You're right. I mean, absolutely. Where would they go? Why would anyone take them in? That's not.
Oh, everywhere that's taken in Palestinians in these type of agreements in the past, it's not gone well for them. As Asmund said, these people are lifelong terrorists. It's all they know. And in places like Lebanon and Jordan that have accepted to take in fighters as part of ceasefire agreements with Israel, the people they've taken in have not changed their ways and have been involved in violence. And he's dismissing this, but this is a huge concern. Why would any country take in like crazy terrorists? He's anti-immigration, and he's acting like it's a given that some countries are going to take in these absolute monsters. And when I say absolute monsters, I do believe a big part of Hamas is absolute monsters, the terrorist side. And that's the side that should be kicked out.
That's not our problem. I mean, really, I don't know. Like, I mean, I have no idea. But like, again, if you're a terrorist organization and you're blowing up and killing your own civilians and executing them publicly, you know, at one, like, I mean, how is anybody bringing up, like, why is it that people can't just say, yeah, that's bad?
Yeah, it's bad, but it's a war zone. You've seen what Israel did to Gaza, leveling the place? In war, it's always bad in war-torn zones. There's always going to be killing. Not only is it bad, not only is the area leveled, but Israel, on top of that, added a food shortage to things. Can you imagine what type of factions have formed to distribute food and the amount of violence that has caused between Palestinians? That's about as bad as you can get. A war-torn zone that's suffering famine. And don't try to judge the people living in that place, because, God, you have to do whatever you can to survive.
That's obviously bad. It's obviously a bad thing, period. Like, why even bring up anything else besides that?
So I mentioned this because you hear about the execution Hamas is carrying out. There's no way to know. Again, there was food shortages. The people they're executing could have been people that killed innocent families for their food. There could be very valid reason for these executions. There's no real prisons in Gaza right now. They don't have money for that. But on the other hand, it could just be Palestinians that are opposed to Hamas, and those executions could be terribly wrong. I just have no way of knowing which it is at this point in time.
Obviously, they're bad.
Well, he's saying obviously they're bad. How do you know? how do you know that they're not criminals being executed? I mean, I'm pretty sure Asmongold believes in death penalty. How do you know that people being killed by Hamas weren't criminals deserving of death penalty? You're just assuming. But maybe they were innocent. It's hard to know.
Continued to be a sticking point in the negotiations about where exactly the line is located. Of course, the Gaza Strip is around 30 miles long, and so it's very difficult to know the exact points along the enclave where Israeli forces are in control and where Hamas is in control. But the fact that Hamas has launched this blatant attack against Israeli forces is an indication that they are not adhering to the ceasefire.
Again, he just said it himself, 30 miles long. Do you think there's cohesive control from one authority in Gaza? You have the negotiations for peace done by one group in one area, another group in another area is like, we're not going to stop.
Agreement to fire a rocket-propelled grenade and to conduct a sniper attack is a clear indication that Hamas still wants to fight inside Gaza. And
it's a still indication that some people in Gaza still want to fight. But from those two attacks that maybe involve 2 individuals out of 2 million, you're going to assume that the entire Hamas in Gaza want to fight? It's insane.
Israeli forces have been very clear they will strike the Gaza Strip if Hamas violates the agreement. And already today, we understand, according to sources in Jerusalem,
Asmongold is going along with this fiction that any attack by anyone from Gaza is automatically Hamas, and not a renegade part of Hamas or someone independent from Hamas.
That Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to...
If you're someone who hates Hamas and hates Israel, it's perfect time to attack because Hamas is the one that's going to get the blowback from Israel.
Hold security consultations as a result of this Hamas ceasefire violation, and there could be further actions by the Israelis. And of course, we do expect more communication to the intermediaries to try and get this back on track from a diplomatic angle. We know that Vice President J.D. Vance and also U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are scheduled to visit Israel this week.
I think any realistic person knows that this doesn't end well for Hamas no matter what.
That's like obvious. Let me put it to you this way, Asmongold. It hasn't ended well for Palestinians for like 80 years. Every time it's ended badly for Palestinians. So you're like saying like, you drop a rock, it's going to fall to the ground. You're saying like the sun's going to come out tomorrow. You're saying something that's so obvious you shouldn't even bother stating it.
Right? I mean, we all know that. Like if Hamas stays there, it's just going to cause Israel and America and the other countries in the area.
You have to remember, Hamas' purpose for existing is to give Israel an excuse to try to seize land. I mean, remember, Israel, its focus on getting land. And it's the reason they propped up Hamas, to kill the two-state solution. They want Hamas to keep fighting so they can keep oppressing the Palestinians there until they finally make it so miserable that they have to leave, or till they figure out some other way to get rid of them.
To either bomb them or allow them to be bombed. That's what's going to happen. One way or another. I was going to stop commenting. You say dumbass? Well, I don't look like a... What about this do I look like a dumbass on?
Someone's calling him out for because he really does look like a dumbass. I'm sorry, Asmongold. You're so good on so many subjects, but when you're informed, when you know all the facts, you're good on so many subjects. Here, you don't know all the facts, and so you're not that great.
Like, let me go back. We're gonna pull somebody up. We'll see what's going on here. So what about this isn't true that I'm saying here? There is real.
Asmongold, you can stop commenting on this topic. He sounds dumbass. He has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Exactly.
Realistically, no universe where Hamas maintains any level of control and any level of power.
He's saying this, but the counter is you have to understand Israel is propping up Hamas. You have Netanyahu who wants Hamas to survive. As long as he does not have control over every inch of Gaza territory, he wants Hamas to survive. When you have someone like Netanyahu making sure that Hamas survives, it's going to survive. So your thing about it ending badly, it's if you're not aware of even that fact, your judgment isn't entirely reliable.
In Gaza or Palestine, there is no universe where that happens. So the longer that they are there, the more people die.
Exactly. That is why Netanyahu wants Hamas there. That's why Netanyahu didn't get the hostages back sooner, didn't negotiate. He wants more people to die. He did it through famine. He did it through bombing. He's done it through trying to encourage Palestinians to kill each other. He's done it every way he can.
That's the reality. Now, you might not think that's fair, but you should recognize.
By the way, I don't support Hamas. I just getting rid of Netanyahu is the way to get rid of Hamas. You need to get rid of Netanyahu and everyone like him in Israel that was behind the funding of sending suitcases full of cash from Qatar to Hamas. Get rid of every one of those. That is the way you end Hamas.
Is the truth of this. There's no comment. Obviously, no comment. There's never any comments about this. And eradicate Hamas and don't let Israel occupy Gaza. It's that simple.
Asmongold, it's not that easy to type fast on the spot like this. And this guy actually does a pretty good job given the situation.
Well, I'll see if this person's going to respond. Is there anything else that you're looking at here? Hamas is bad, but you're looking into how it was created and how it was funded by Israel to survive.
Exactly. I'm so thankful for this message because it was at least an attempt to get Asmongold informed. I mean, Asmongold, you have a browser. Asmongold, you have a browser. You can type in Israeli support for Hamas into Google and press enter. It's that easy. You get articles like this one. For years, Netanyahu propped up Hamas. Now it's blown up in our faces. If he's not aware of that, you really shouldn't be commentating on Gaza. Sorry, Asmon.
That's it. So then, okay, so you agree though, right? I mean, like, so what about what conclusion that I'm drawing? Like, why does it?
The fact that Netanyahu wants a terrorist organization in Gaza. He doesn't want to eradicate Hamas. So not only is Israel unlikely to succeed in eradicating Hamas because they're not actually really going for leadership. They're actively conducting the war in a way that Hamas can survive because they want it to survive.
Matter how Hamas was created. Hamas was voted in by people in like what, two?
You see. Asmongold thinks Hamas is an organization that popped up organically in Gaza. He doesn't understand it's an Israeli creation.
2006 or something like that, right? By Pal.
And he mentions elections. That means in his mind, the one responsible for Hamas is the Palestinian people.
Palestinians. And then, like, even then, the election was like, it was like a weird election. I'm like, what does that have to do with it? I mean, most of the people that are alive and got.
You have to understand. Look at this. Look at the date. 2020. Netanyahu sent Mossad head general to Qatar, begged it to pay Hamas. 2020. This isn't something way in the past. This is current Israeli support for Hamas. It's not something you can just dismiss out of hand and be unaware of and try to pretend to be informed.
Aren't most of the people in Gaza now under 18 anyway? So they weren't even alive for the election, and probably the majority.
It has nothing to do with the election. Israel has been propping up Hamas for years. And Netanyahu probably hasn't been serious about eradicating it, even after October 7th. I mean, Netanyahu, through his payments from Qatar, financed part of October 7th. That's how bad, how absurd the situation is.
Of the ones that are over 18 probably weren't even voting in it. Like, it's not even an argument. Like, what does that even have to do with it?
The fact that you're bringing up that election shows how uninformed you are. Current thing is Israel's support for Hamas. Far more recent than that.
Like, yeah, this bad thing happened a long time ago. So what does that have to do with now? What conclusion is this? Is different here? Yeah, you can't fix the past. No, you can't. You can. I'll give this person one more response, and then we got to move on. Okay.
This guy tried to inform Asmongold, but when you put on a spot, it's hard to type out answers that fast unless you have them pre-prepared, which I doubt he had.
created Hamas to oppose Palestinian government. If Trump eradicates Hamas, Netanyahu would just create another terrorist group.
Exactly. Exactly. You have to understand the point of Hamas. Here, at the Likud party conference in 2019, Netanyahu said anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. This is part of our strategy to isolate the Palestinians in Gaza from the Palestinians in the West Bank. This is Netanyahu saying you have to support bolstering and transferring money to Hamas. And you're not going to recognize that or put any of the blame for all the destruction on the person that propped up and enabled Hamas? Netanyahu is responsible for all Israel side's violence and all of the violence from Hamas by enabling Hamas. He is the evil in this situation.
Well, you have to understand that, like, is again, do you see there is no peace option with Hamas being in there controlling it? Like, if you don't understand that.
Yes, and that's why Netanyahu supported and made sure Hamas existed and funded it, is to make sure there's no peace, because he doesn't want peace. Israel wants land, not peace. Sorry, let me be clear here. The current Netanyahu cabal wants land, not peace. A lot of average Israelis aren't involved in all this, like most Americans don't know some of the terrible things CIA has done in their names. I'm sure most Israelis don't know the terrible things Israel has been doing, and Netanyahu's government and Mossad. It's sort of the way the world works. I wish it didn't work that way, but...
You are delusional. You are absolutely delusional if you think that there will ever be peace with Hamas there. There's no response at all. And they're already terrorists. Yeah, they're already terrorists. I mean, there was no voting. Hamas killed, massacred Palestinians. Authorities are ruling over the Strip. Well, even if there was, what I'm saying is that the people there don't even have any accountability for that anyway. So the point is that, like, if they're fighting and continuing this, all they're doing is ensuring the death of more of their people. Whether you think this is right or wrong or anything else, this is an inevitable reality. They are in a losing position. They have
been in a losing position for 80 years. As long as you have a state like Israel, backed by a superpower like the United States, determined to prevent Palestinians from ever having their own country, yeah, the people in Palestine have been screwed and are screwed as long as that dynamic exists.
Almost no allies. Elban. Well,
oh yeah, he banned that guy in chat, and definitely one of Asmongold's most L bans. All he was trying to do is, that's why I don't go in Asmon chat and try to explain stuff like this. There's so many people I probably wouldn't get through, but even if I did get through, a couple messages in chat isn't enough to change someone's mind, unless you're really lucky.
Somebody telling me that I'm stupid, I don't know what I'm talking about. If you're not going to explain...
I will admit that the chatter was in the most diplomatic way possible, but I can understand the emotion. It's frustrating, given how uninformed the majority of people, both on the left and the right, are on Israel-Palestine. I mean, most on the left don't know about Netanyahu's support for Hamas. They just support Hamas without understanding that it was basically a tool that Netanyahu used to oppress the Palestinian people and deny them a statehood. Despite that, they support Hamas. And the right thinks that just Hamas is something that organically, spontaneously just appeared in Palestine, and it's the will of the Palestinian people. Both sides are so
anything, then that's it. Your solution is to remove the result, that soil caused the problem there. What do you think there's, like, I mean, again, your solution, what is the solution? To let Hamas stay there? That's obviously not going to happen.
No, we recognize that Hamas, or at least the terrorist wing of it, real monsters, yeah, those we should get rid of. The problem is there's also a huge portion of Hamas that, as a result of these years of war, are just ordinary people joining to try to protect their people, their homeland. Someone whose family has died and they joined to fight IDF, fighting an army that's invading your territory is, I don't view that as wrong. What happened on October 7th, that is a completely different story. So you have to make that separation. First of all, which Asmongold isn't doing. Secondly, if you're not acknowledging the reality that Netanyahu is the creator, well, the enabler is a better thing. Creator, I don't know how much role he actually played in creation, but a lot of countries have terrorist organizations in them. Rarely do those terrorist organizations grow big enough to take over the government. That happened in Gaza because of support from Israel and Netanyahu's and his cohorts.
It's clearly not going to happen. Everybody knows that. Like, I mean, again, there's too many people that think like that they're so idealistic, and there's that.
I'm not idealistic, I'm realistic. And realistic, first step of that is knowing the facts. Very, very, very first step. All the facts. And you're failing in that job. So don't try to pretend to be realistic, Asmongold. Being uninformed, you lose the right to claim to be realistic.
This is like, there's so much of a it's like suicidal idealism. That's not true. It's not what's going to happen.
I'm actually going to end this there. I just wanted to cover through that chatter getting banned. And I've gotten most of what I had to say out. And this will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, bye, bye.